Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to this week's Friday Review. We are here today with our best of the week. So each and every week on the Cabral Concept, I try to bring you the best of what's been going on in the practice, the best with equilibrium nutrition, the current favorite foods that I have right now, maybe my diet, talking about product reviews, anything to do with health and wellness in terms of that sphere, and then also research that I believe will be useful to you or some member of your family community that I think you could pass along. So always enjoy these shows because we get to talk about so many different topics, whereas Monday through Thursday, I try to go deep. I try to go deep on one particular topic. I try to bring you the unbiased perspective on really what it means to take back your health, wellness, and anti-aging based goals, and then give you an action plan in order to do that. Sometimes what we do a lot of times, we talk about all the things that are wrong and all the things that aren't going well and what we might be suffering from, but that doesn't do a lot of good if we don't leave one another with the ability to at least begin to move forward. And you don't need to get it all right the very first day or even the very first program that you follow. It's so important that we realize that, first of all, there isn't one path. And second is that no matter what path you find that's best for you, it's probably going to have a few thorn bushes along the way, right? It's probably going to have a pretty rocky patch every once in a while. So what we need to do is simply begin to move forward in life. And that's why, for me, I love the daily podcast. I really do. And it's my way of continuing to teach. And hopefully you're able to take a little something away from each day's show. And as you take away little bites here and there each day, they start to add up. And you start to see the world a little differently. You look at your nutrition a little differently, your health, your stress, your gut, everything. And then over time, subconsciously, your mind and your body begin to work better together. You know the right thing to do. And that's really why I do what I do and why I love what I do, because it works for me as well. I mean, I teach what I had to learn myself, and I also listen to other shows, and I also read so many other books simply because I don't want this journey to end for myself. I want to be a continual student in this field, and I want to learn as much as I can. And as I learn more, I'll be sure, of course, to pass more on. So let's get started. Let's dive right into today's show. So many updates to get started with. We'll just take a couple minutes. And then I want to share with you a couple interviews that I've been on. I've been on probably, I think, 10 or 12 interviews over the past couple weeks on COVID-19, giving you a little bit more in-depth information on that shows. And then I'd love to be able to bring you some research and some quarantine food, as I'm calling it right now, that I've been doing for most days for lunch. And it's super simple, inexpensive, and actually really tasty. So updates first. Updates are, well, today is the last day the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute will be open for April's enrollment. We don't know what will come in May, but we do know that we are allowing 100 new students into IHP. We affectionately refer to Integrative Health Practitioner Institute as IHP, to become certified as a health coach. I don't know if there are any openings left. You can simply go to integrativehealthpractitioner.org. I just know that Friday was the last day we were going to be open. So the reason why I love the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute and the program is that we have well over 1,000 now members who are all looking to become, for the most part, looking to become certified as a health coach in level 1 and level 2, but they are some of the most caring people in the world. And I always say that, and I truly mean it. We have people offering all sorts of different services within the group to each other. They're helping each other out. They're supporting each other. And many maybe don't ever want to practice as a health coach, but they want to learn this information in order to heal themselves, heal a family member, or simply to have the information so that it was ever needed, well, they would be right there on top of it. So, again, it's such an amazing community, and I'm not saying it's the right fit for you, but what I recommend is checking it out, see what it's all about. And that's over at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. Of course, always let us know if you have any questions. My team is happy, and IHP graduates happy to hop on the phone with you completely free of charge. So check it out over at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. All right. Second thing I'm super excited about this week is that it ends in the next day or two, but we are giving away a complimentary minerals and metals hair tissue mineral analysis test. That means we are literally giving away a free lab test, which we've never done before in the history of me ever doing labs, with any purchase of a Candida metabolic and vitamins test. Now, why are we doing that? Well, one is we know right now that times are tough. They really are. And everyone's trying to do their best with their family, with the world around us, and their finances. So what we did was simply work with the labs. And I said, what can we do? What can we do with payment plans? And what can we do with trying to get, just during this period of time, maybe a little bit better rate on a lab? And that's what we did. And we bundled them together. And now we're offering you, it's essentially our starter kit, but we're giving away the minerals and metals test, that hair tissue mineral analysis. So now you can send it a sample. It's a urine-based sample, which is going to tell you about your gut health. It's going to tell you about your mitochondrial energy-based levels, neurotransmitter function, but it's also going to give you your vitamin levels. So now we don't need to guess as to whether you are at the proper levels of vitamin C or B12 or B6, etc. You're able to find those out. It's pretty amazing. I mean, it really is. And then with the minerals and metals test, a couple snips of hair, and now we're able to find out the levels of minerals in your body, the level of stress based on the electrolytes, and that goes with HPA axis dysfunction, basically adrenal-based issues. And we look at heavy metals, cadmium, mercury, arsenic, aluminum, and lead. So these two, I mean, if you could do no other tests, these are always the place to start. That's what we call it the starter kit. So simply go to equilibriumnutrition.com if you want to learn more about that. I mean, not too much else to say that if you know and you've heard about at-home lab testing, to be able to get a $299 lab complimentary and get upgraded from a 30-minute call to a 60-minute call by doing these two is pretty fantastic. So head on over to equilibriumnutrition.com while supplies last. Whatever we have is what we're going to do for this week. Check that out. And again, I hope that it serves you or a family member or your family well. Next up, the last update, what's going on for Equilibrium Nutrition. One of the things that we had left over, this might already be over by the time you get this on Friday, but we've been giving away free bottles of CBD gummies. So essentially, we had a couple hundred bottles of CBD gummies and a couple hundred bottles of CBD soft gels left after we stopped selling. So we are no longer going to be selling CBD products at all. And that's it. And all the oils, CBD oil and the trial size and the full size are completely sold out. All the coffee's gone, all of that. But we had a couple bottles of gummies left, a couple hundred bottles, and we're giving those away all this week completely free on purchases over $129. That is while supplies last. So if there are 450 bottles, we'll say, well, after those 450 bottles are gone, that is it for those CBD gummies. So if you're looking for something to really calm the nerves, to be able to maybe relax during this time of uncertainty, I know that many people are enjoying those, and again, they're fantastic. Not only do they work really well, that's the most important thing, they taste great in the cherry mango flavor, but the other thing is that we made sure as a company, which really no one else is doing, that there's no artificial colors and there's no artificial flavors. That's why it's too bad that we really have to stop selling them, because we were the only company that I know of doing that for gummies. But that's neither here nor there, so hopefully you can take advantage of it over at equilibriumnutrition.com. You will not see any banners or anything like that, promotions on the website, simply because we're not allowed to sell CBD, but we are giving it away. And it will pop up in your shopping cart over $129 as long as the offer is still going on. Okay, last couple updates. The detox, I wanted to tell you because it didn't really end. It didn't end until Monday morning, essentially when I woke up. So that was my day 8, we call it, right? I finished my full 7 days of the spring detox. Really great to see so many people inside of CabralSupportGroup.com, which is our free Facebook group, joining in. It was another great detox. I'm really happy that I did it because this is the time of the year where typically, I would have those seasonal allergies. And I was fortunate enough, maybe now 4 years ago, 5 years ago, to completely get rid of them. And then maybe about 10 years ago or so that they were no longer debilitating, where I had to stay in the house for 2-3 weeks straight. That's no exaggeration. That is, couldn't open my eyes, so I couldn't go out of the house even if I wanted to, because the wind would blow, there'd be, microns of pollen in the air, and I wouldn't even see it, and it would land in my eyes, and it would literally be like pepper spray. The histamine reaction was so great and so unbalanced 10 plus years ago. It was ridiculous. I mean, it really was. No one should have to live like that. It was absurd. But I did what I needed to do to rebalance my body, and I was able to correct that. And I believe detoxing is just such a big part of that. It's not an overnight fix, but I was able to empty my rain barrel over the period of many seasonal detoxes. And now it keeps me where I should be. It keeps me feeling better than ever and healthier than ever. And I just celebrated another birthday just about 2 weeks ago. I mean, I say it every year, but it's the truth. And I would let you know, I really would. My body feels good. My joints feel good. My energy feels great. Like all of these things are great. Digestion's great. And that's even with dealing with a couple viruses over the winter period of time. And this is before the COVID-19, really started in March. So, but again, a healthy body rebalance itself. You have to make sure that you restock those reserves and that you remove those toxicities. And I do believe that is as close as we can get to the fountain of youth that people are missing right now. So hopefully that helps. And if you've never done a functional medicine detox, I give a free course on it. It's completely free. Just head on over to equilibriumnutrition.com/detox-course. All right. Now I want to share with you this. I had a bunch of podcasts come out over the last couple of weeks, and I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anyone. But two that just came out this week is Learn True Health with Ashley James. Learn True Health, this was an epic 2+ hour podcast, essentially in all things viruses and all things COVID-19. So that was quite in depth. You can check it out today, but just by simply going to StephenCabral.com/1526, StephenCabral.com/1526. That's where I'll be putting today's show notes. And I will also be putting the podcast there that I did as well. So that was with Ashley James. Really great interview. She's fantastic. I've been on her show 2 or 3 times now total, maybe like once a year I've been on, and it's been really great to connect with her. She's got a lot of great interviews on the show, a lot of great people that she's had on, and obviously she's quite knowledgeable herself. So check that out. And then also the other podcast I did, again, a lot more coming. I'll bring you more that I've done, but was This Girl Life with Whitney and Kristen. And that was a lot of fun. Sometimes I hop on an interview and there's multiple hosts of the show, like Whitney and Kristen. And they are both pregnant. They're both moms. We have, just talking about different things. We're talking about Ayurveda. We're talking about body types. We're talking about healthy pregnancies. Yes, we're talking about some viral-based issues. So that was a lot of fun. That was kind of covering maybe a dozen different topics in just about 30 minutes. So unlike the 2-hour interview I did with Ashley, this was about a 30-minute show with Whitney and Kristen. A lot of fun as well. Again, I will link that up today at StephenCabral.com/1526. All right. Next week, I'll bring you more of the shows that I was on, especially any others that I forgot. So you know that each week I do an unbiased podcast on the best of conventional medicine and the best of natural-based medicine at StephenCabral.com/virus. I'm not really going to recap that right now. If you haven't been tuning in, I give you my immunity protocols, I give you my foundational protocols, I give you food-based resources, I give you water filter links, I give you what's working in conventional medicine, I give you the true statistics, not the fabricated ones by the media that are truly hype. So you can check all that out at StephenCabral.com/virus. I won't take more of the time today to go through these things because I want to go over right now 3 research studies and 1 quarantine food. But before I do, people have been asking because they know that I'm not using my typical microphone. So, and for anyone that doesn't know that, I'll probably mention that like once a week or so, just so you know. This is not my usual studio microphone. So in my office in Boston, I don't have an elaborate setup, but I have a nice little setup, which is just my, podcast professional grade microphone, which is an Electro Voice. And the previous one was a Heil microphone. And I'm recording this nice little Zoom recorder. It has this XLR cord, and that's about it. I travel everywhere with it. Literally, I bring it with me. I bring it through airport security. People have heard me talk about this story before, but airport security all the time, they look at it and they're like, "Are you a karaoke singer?" And every single time I just look at them. Like I expect them like at some point that they won't say that. And I just say, what kind of karaoke singer carries around a microphone with them? Like, does this really happen? And so typically, after I just give a little smile, no, I just say, no, I do a podcast. And now, obviously a lot of people do a podcast. So like, oh, okay. But anyway, right now I don't have that set up. And because I was traveling to Australia, I was traveling with my family. I wanted to travel super light. So I had a backpack and I had a carry-on, one of those small luggages. And that's it. That's all I brought for the entire month. Well, I didn't know that I wouldn't be back to Boston for now Well, it'll be 2 months. So what I'm using right now, and I looked, I was like, okay, well, for me, this is what I do, and I do it on a daily basis. Let me purchase another one. I said, okay, because I'm going to be doing more interviews in the future. I'd love to be doing more interviews in Boston. I said, it won't go to waste. I'm going to use this. Well, I went to purchase it, and it said it won't be delivered for a month because it's considered a non-essential item. So there was no way for me to get another microphone. I went to the Walmart, and I purchased this. It's called the Snowball. And anyway, it echoes too much. It's not what I'm looking for. So for those that ask, I'm using the good old voice memo app on my MacBook computer, and I'm using the Apple wired headset, just the headset you plug into your phone. And I plug it right into my computer, and I record right to the voice memo. Now, the reason why I bring this up is for anybody thinking about doing a podcast, or you're thinking about doing your own voice recordings. Yes, you could go with the $400 microphone, but I'm doing, I think, a decent job. Like, it's decent sound quality. It's not the best. I'm not going to say that it is. And I wish I had my regular microphone, but you can get a decent podcast created with a free microphone and whatever app comes with your computer. You could even use the QuickTime audio on a PC if you don't have a Mac, and just press audio recording, and you could record through that. So what I always say is this: always come up with more solutions than problems. I wasn't happy that I was going to have to do this because I'm still a recovering perfectionist, and I'm definitely a recovering type A. So what I said was, but this is what I need to do, and it's the best that I can do. If you read my last Sunday email, you know that I said when you're in a no-win situation, just is what it is. You say you can do the best that you can do, and you can do all that you can do. So I said, I'm not going to stop my podcast. I can't get a microphone. I just tried to purchase one, and it just didn't meet my liking. I'm probably not using it correctly, to be honest with you. But this works. So anyway, anybody who's looking for free, this is a great free option that I discovered out of necessity. All right, let's go over now 3 great research studies. The first one's this. I forgot my quarantine food. All right, I'm going to go over my quarantine food for you right now. So many of you know my breakfast is always a smoothie, super simple, and sometimes some oatmeal, depending if it's a workout day, depending if I want something warm in my body. I don't do it every day, but oatmeal is a really nice staple as well. But for lunch, I don't have the choices that I used to have. I mean, I could walk out of my office in Boston, and I could walk quarter of a mile in any direction, and I would have like 20 different choices, right? And, there'd be like 6 really good choices that I would use. And I don't have that now. So obviously most places are closed, etc. But what I did was I got a bunch of Okinawan purple potatoes. And if you've never heard me talk about these and review Okinawan purple potatoes before, and what the difference is between other types of yams, or even like the purple potatoes you have in the US, check that out. So I've been just buying these giant purple potatoes, Okinawan purple potatoes. And I've been just pre-cooking them, cut it in half, and it's a huge potato. And what I do is I have that for lunch with hemp hearts, olive oil, little sea salt. Now, is that extravagant? No. Is it delicious? Absolutely. I mean, so that's why it is a simple quarantine meal that I'm doing most lunch, because I don't have a lot of options. But what I'm doing is saying, well, this is super healthy. I'm basically having a Blue Zone style lunch every single day. I'm getting my vegan-based protein in with my hemp hearts. I'm doing olive oil. I'm doing purple potatoes. I mean, these are things that some of the longest lived people in the world do. And even if it doesn't live to the longest life, well, here's the thing. These things are super high in antioxidants. They're high in fiber. It's high in good quality protein. I'm getting over 20 grams a meal. So it's just a great healthy meal. Like, there's no downsides to this meal at all. It's super healthy. So, and it's about $3 to $4 for that. I mean, it's probably $4 for lunch. So you can't beat that, especially for being satiated and it being delicious and super inexpensive. So what I'll try to do is I'll take a photo and I will post what it looks like. It's nothing glamorous because I'm not an Instagram chef photographer, but I'll try to post that today as well at stevencabral.com/1526. All right. Last but not least, I want to bring you 3 research studies. I know I'm coming up on my time, but I did say I was going to bring you 3 research studies, and I'm going to do that. Okay. So the first one is this. They were testing, can COVID-19 be spread just through speaking to another person? Meaning, like, let's say you're just talking with another person. Can you get COVID-19? And the answer seems to be yes. And the reason is that even without spit, so like obviously if someone spits while they're talking, then yes, you could get it, right? You could get it through the submission of saliva. However, they're finding that the COVID-19 aerosol particles are small enough, meaning they're smaller than 1 micron. You can't even see them. They're small enough to be transmitted through the air. And if it lands on your body or your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and let's say you were to touch your body and then touch your eyes, nose, or mouth, well, you could then become infected with it. So yes, it is possible to transmit that. And some people, especially those that talk louder, they're finding, are called super transmitters. And they can give off 10 times the amount of particles as other people. This was published in Aerosol Science and Technology, and it was done with PLOS1 and Scientific Reports as well. It was actually mentioned in all three of those spaces, and the research came out of University of California, Davis, and it was published on April 3rd. I'll try to link that up, of course, at today's show notes page. So just keep in mind, if you know the person's not infected, well, then okay. But that's why you really do need that 6 feet between the two of you. And if someone is a loud talker or a super transmitter, believe it or not, it can even be more than that. So I wanted to pass that on to you, of course, not to scare you, and hopefully you've been listening to my weekly videos, but just to let you know that that is truth, right? I try to separate fact from fiction. That is actually fact. All right, second research study of the day is this. This one I love to see because it just, again, it goes back to facts. We love to make up these fad diets, and we love to kind of cherry pick individual studies. Well, here's the thing. Another study on lowering breast cancer risk. And what we found from pulling together 20 different studies is that those women who had the highest amount of fiber in their diet coming from fruits, veggies, and more natural whole grains actually had an 8% risk reduction rate of breast cancer. So there'll be more trials for sure in the future, but I want you to know that we already have had trials on fiber in colon cancer, fiber, and breast cancer, and those have held up. More studies, of course, to come, but this does mean that continue following the advice of meta-analysis like this, but actual data points that have recommended to all people that men should have at least 30 grams of fiber per day. Let's put it this way. Men and women should really have 35 grams or more fiber per day. Again, if that causes bloating, if it causes gas, if it causes joint pain, if it causes autoimmune issues, look to the gut. It's not the fiber's fault. It's not the fruit and veggies fault. It's the gut's fault, right? Well, we need to blame something. So we're going to blame the gut. Now, the gut can be corrected. That's the nice thing. So run that Candida metabolic vitamins-based test, that organic acids test, that's one and the same. Run a stool test if you want, but make sure that whatever you have going on in that gut, that you rebalance it, right? Because it's about inflammation and it's about fixing these things long-term, not just staying away from the things that cause you the most pain, essentially. All right, the last one is this, and this one I wanted to bring up because there's a lot of people we work with in our practice that are dealing with brain fog, and they just don't feel as alert. They feel groggy. And what this study showed, this was done at the Center for Human Brain Health, University of Birmingham in the UK, and it was published in Neuroimage. Again, I'll try to link that up for you. These are all pretty current. And it showed that for many people, they're dealing with chronic conditions of inflammation. And the body's response to illness, which affects parts of the brain responsible for reaching and maintaining a state of alertness, inflammation also may have an impact on other brain areas, such as those responsible for memory. More studies could show that it is possible for anti-inflammatories to improve or preserve cognitive function in some people with chronic conditions such as obesity, kidney disease, and Alzheimer's. So here's the thing though. We know that inflammation affects the brain as well as the body, and that means it can lead to brain fog. It can lead to less mental alertness. My recommendation is this. Inflammation is implicated in 90+% of all disease. That's true. But you have to ask yourself, why is the inflammation there in the first place? What caused it? So don't always look to the drugs. Don't always even look to the anti-inflammatory supplements. I mean, I'm okay with anti-inflammatory supplements in the short term, but I don't think that you need to use 4 grams of turmeric every single day as an anti-inflammatory. I would much rather you say, okay, it's a great spice, it's a great herb, I recommend it, I believe in it, but what else can we do? Like, why is the inflammation there in the first place? So sure, we'll use turmeric, we'll use bromelain, we'll use all these great things, boswellia, which is Indian frankincense. We'll use all of those, but Why the inflammation? So we like to use both. And that's what I recommend to you, is that you understand that the inflammation, the brain fog, is from a source. So if you can, try to lab test. Try to figure out whether you're doing the Big Five, you're doing the starter kit, you're doing hormone testing. Figure out what is causing this inflammation in your body. And when you do, you'll be able to pinpoint what needs to be corrected and imbalanced. This is the future of medicine, and trust me, you can do this right now and right from home. So hopefully this has been helpful today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, all of the show notes today, if you want to review, those are at stevencabral.com/1526. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll be back tomorrow with our Cabral House Calls, where we'll be answering our community's questions live each and every weekend. Take care, everyone. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.